everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge, and today I am filming a video that you guys all voted on for me. So this was really fun. I knew that I wanted to film a bunch of videos today and I got a bunch of recommendations recently, and so I did one poll that was for just my channel members, which that video will either be up or will be coming up soon, and then I did one that you guys could all vote on. I generally, when I make a poll, here's the thing, because some people just freak out and they start messaging me, oh, please make all of them, which is so sweet. And I will. It's just a matter of which one I film first and get out first. That's usually what's happening when I'm asking for a poll, is like which one you guys have the most interest with right this moment. But all the ideas are like, you know how many videos I put up. I will get to them. Like, I need every idea that I get given to continue the amount of content that I have. But I just like to kind of do the ones you guys are most interested in first, and then give myself some time for the others. Okay. So this one today, the one you voted for was books that make me laugh. So the reason why it's books that make me laugh and not rom-coms is that not all of these are technically romantic comedies, but they have elements that just made me crack up or laugh really hard, and so I wanted to share them with you. So we are going to go through these kind of quickly. Some of them I'll tell more about the plot, but mostly I just wanted to get this out there with some great ideas for you guys and not do my normal complete deep dive for these. Because some are books that I have done deep dives on before. I just maybe haven't talked about the humor aspect so much because I'm focusing on other things. And a great example of that is going to be Wolfgang Wild by Juliette. Just a shameless self-plug. I actually just did an interview with Juliette for Pharaoh Feb, which is Fantasy Romance February, which is a readathon going on for this whole month. So if you go to my channel page, or I'm going to link it up above, I have an interview with this author. She is a wonderfully sweet woman. This is a paranormal romance set in Louisiana. And it is about this family of witches. And there's going to be 6 books in the series. Currently 2 of them are out. The third one, she's just finished her first draft and is set to come out in July, I think. So you definitely have time to catch up with these 2. This one particularly is about a werewolf named Mateo Cruz, who his alpha, his wolf, is stuck inside of him. And so he's been cursed. And so witches, they don't generally work with werewolves, but our witch, we have Evie, Evie Savoy, she realizes that he seems like a good dude, and so she decides to help him. This book is super nerdy, super fun. There's lots of pop culture references. Juliette has said that Evie is the most like her, even though they're nerdy in different ways. And it's just hilarious. One of the best parts about this, in my opinion, is that Alpha, who's stuck inside of Mateo, actually is talking. And that's kind of what's driving Mateo crazy. Because normally, as a werewolf, he's just his normal self. And then around the full moon, he'll go off and his alpha will come out. And they're aware of each other, but they don't talk. Now, since Alpha has been stuck inside him, he's really started to communicate. So when you read the book, any of this like dark type is actually Alpha talking. I freaking love this book, and it's just hilarious because Alpha is so funny. Like, he really is an alpha male stuck inside of this more of a beta. Like, Mateo's still got the moves, but he's more of a beta. Like, Alpha is his, fierce inner self. And so the conversations that they have are so funny, and Evie is just sweet and endearing. And if you like Star Wars, there are lots of nerdy references in here, and it's really fun. So I definitely want to recommend this. Then I have a couple sports romances to recommend that are a little bit lighter and fun. So one of those is Pucked by Helena Hunting. This one has a lot of sexual humor going on in it. That's mostly what's being referred to in this one. This is about this woman named Violet. Her stepbrother is a professional hockey player, and so she goes to his game one night and ends up hooking up with one of his teammates, and they have a really fun one-night stand. But then our hero Alex, he gets a bit obsessed. Like, he gets a bit obsessed with our heroine and really wants to win her. And so he is actually this really sweet, nerdy, dorky guy hidden inside a body of a fucking monster. Like, literally, it says on the back, Alex Waters carries a big stick. Like, he has monster dick, just so you know. It's a thing, and we get into some interesting situations because of it. As well as an ongoing joke that he could never do anal with Violet because it would kill her. Which, if you're into humor like that, like me, it's funny. Not all of the books are as humorous as this one. In fact, some of them deal with much deeper stuff, but I really like Helena hunting for the heart that's always behind her books, and I just really enjoy this one, and some people give them slack, but I binged this whole series on KU so quick, and I've purchased my favorite ones from the series. It's great. Another sports romance is The Rivalry by Nikki Sloane. This one, oh my gosh, so this one is about this couple that meets at their friend's wedding. So it's her friend and his friend, and they're married, and they're like both there. And they almost hook up. So they don't quite hook up. This is also a college romance. This was a professional. No one's in college in this one, but they're in college in this one. This is football romance. And our hero, Jay, and the heroine's name is Kayla. They just have insane chemistry, and they end up getting cock-blocked at this wedding, so they don't end up having a fling. Well, Kayla ends up asking Jay's friend, so the friend who married her friend, I don't know his name, so he's irrelevant, but he ends up telling her a bar that he's going to be at. Now, the thing is, there's this huge rivalry between these two schools. I think it's Ohio and Michigan in the story. I'm not a football fan, I'm sorry, but like I've heard from friends that like this rivalry like is a real thing. This book takes it to the next level though, because she's a cheerleader for one of the schools and he is a football player for the arch rival, and he's actually a reason that their team lost the year before at this game. So Jay doesn't really get why it's a big deal. He's like, so what, we're on different teams, and she's like, you have no idea. Like, I was literally born in the bleachers at the school my dad was coaching at. Like, football is everything, and I cannot date a rival. And so it leads to some really interesting situations. I also love this one, as I said, because it's written by Nikki Sloane, and it's really, like, not within her other repertoire of books, because this isn't a dark romance, where most of her stuff is pretty dark. Like, it's varying degrees of dark or taboo, and this one is literally, like, fun and funny, and the situations they're in and like how they reveal this to their families. Some of it might be silly, but like actually it was amazing. And I also really love it because it's Nikki Sloane, the sex in this book is done so well, especially for it being a college romance. And Kayla is actually someone who has problems like orgasming with a partner or orgasming from penetrative sex, and the way that Jay like comforts her about that and talks to her about it was just, it gave me all the feels. But this is mostly a fun book. Like, there's just also some super hot sex scenes, and then Jay being a treat. Like, I reread scenes for this book sometimes. I have it on Audible, and I will re-listen to scenes sometimes because he just makes me swoon so much. One other sports romance would be Jock Row by Sara Ney. This is another college one. This one has a really funny setup. I actually binged Sara Ney like during COVID last year, and it made me really happy because I'd been reading a lot of dark romances, and then I read this one. And this one starts with, there's a girl who is being called a cockblock, and so when she goes to this party with her friends are trying to hook up with people at the party, and the guys at the party tell their like, he's kind of like their frat brother, to not let this girl in. And so she literally can't believe that he's doing that to her. And they end up talking outside in the cold, outside of the party all night. And then the next Friday night, she brings a cooler of snacks for them to sit out there again. And so it's really cool because it's like a gradual love story, because they're in the beginning only seeing each other on Friday nights, but now she's not even like a cockblock anymore. He's just wanting to talk with her outside of this party, and it was really cute. This book also, specifically this one, had a very low angst. It really was just a cute, sweet, fun college sports romance, and it just had some great scenes to it. I loved it. And so the whole is the whole series called Jock Row? I can't remember. I never remember. But the whole series was kind of light like that, and I had a great time with that series. Then I have a R.S. Gray. I decided to just pick one of these to recommend, but a lot of R.S. Gray's books have some comedic elements into it. But one of my favorites was The Foxe and the Hound by R.S. Gray. And I really love this one because it was actually a veterinarian romance, which I just hadn't read a book about a guy being a vet. And you know what I used to love as a kid? I used to love the show All Creatures Great and Small. Do you remember that from like public television? And it was about a vet in England, and I just loved all of his adventures taking care of animals. But anyway, this starts with this girl who she has this new dog, and I think he's new, or no, she bought him because he was little and cute, and then he turns out being this huge dog, and she's little and she can't control him. And so she's taking him to the vet, and she actually ends up having, like, she smacks into this guy, ruins his shirt, the dog ruins his shirt, and then it turns out that he's the new vet where she's going. So he ends up telling her that she needs to get the dog some discipline classes, and he actually teaches some pet obedience classes. So that's the setup of the story. There's not much else I like need to set up, so it's kind of like an enemies to lovers too, because he just is kind of, he in general is like disgusted with people who adopt dogs just because they're puppies and then gives them away, like will rehome them. So he's just kind of disgusted with her that she would do that, even though it's one of those like snap judgments that happens in romance novels. And obviously she does really care about her dog, but it definitely, the dog gets us into some interesting situations. And I mean, it's an R.S. Gray. Her books really focus on the trope and just give you a great time. Like, my enjoyment level of hers really swings up and down depending on the book, but this was one that it was really unique. I like books with pets, and this one had a really cool situation for it. I love that he was a vet, and that made me happy. Then I have Drive Me Wild by Melanie Harlow. This is the first book in the Bellamy Creek series, which is a series that Melanie has written completely during quarantine, and she binged Schitt's Creek, and so there's a lot of characters in this that are like based off of Schitt's Creek characters, which I haven't watched Schitt's Creek. I know. But I know enough of the memes and enough of what the story's about that, like, I know which thing she's comparing it to. And specifically, this first one, to me, is the funniest one. I have read the other two, including the upcoming release, Call Me Crazy. But Drive Me Wild, Make Me Yours, and Call Me Crazy are the three of them. The first one is this girl. She is a debutante, and she runs away from her family. Like, she's cut off, and she runs away to this small town, and her car breaks down right outside of town, and she has no money and nothing, and the town repairman, he ends up, I think Griffin is his name, yeah, Griffin and Blair are their names. He lets her stay at his place for the night, and they end up like hooking up, and then because obviously he's not gonna take payment for fixing her vehicle by sleeping with her. Like, that's not what's happening. She ends up helping him kind of revamp his shop to bring in more business and like set up some like marketing and events and stuff like that to help revive his family business, and it's really cute. This does have ties to the Cloverleaf Farm series. Pretty much all of Melanie's books now like connect to that in some way. And it was just really fun. I mean, also the covers. She has some of the best covers, like, but I really loved Griffin. There was some cute, also little like role plays in this book. Melanie throws that stuff in to spice it up sometimes. Like, there's a few of her books that have like role plays, but this one had a pretty cute one in it. And it was just really fun and lighthearted, but she still will bring the steam, which I love. Then I have two books by Max Monroe to recommend. Honestly, I would tell you most of Max Monroe's books can be comedic. But the ones that were my favorite, and so I'll just give you a brief overview, is Tapping the Billionaire. This is the first in the Billionaire Bad Boy Club or something like that. And it's about three guy friends. One of them runs a tech company. one of them owns a sporting, one of them owns a sports team, a sport team, and I can't remember what the other one is. But this first one is, they're developing an app that's kind of like a dating app, and so everyone in the company is supposed to like test it out. And so this one girl, she doesn't realize that it's the boss that she's testing it out with, but he knows that it's her. I can't remember how he knows it's her. And they actually have kind of like an enemies thing going on, but then when he's talking to her, so it's one of those. It didn't get out of hand for me the way sometimes like hidden identity ones do when it's like a texting thing when one person knows. I'm usually not a big fan, but Max Monroe really keeps the book moving, and so you don't ever feel that there's going to be this huge hurt happening to the other person, if that makes sense. So I really like it. Another one by her I really love is Dr. O.B. And so this is a series of 3 as well. And they're about these doctors that are being followed for this TV show. And the first one is about Dr. O.B. and he is, comes off really creepy in his episodes because he's really nervous about the cameras, and so he makes some inappropriate jokes when he's doing his job, and so he comes off looking kind of creepy. And so he ends up getting, he also needs a new nurse, and there's this nurse who, she's really kind of frazzled, she's kind of always late for work, but they hire her because she hasn't heard of the TV show yet. Like, she's never watched it. So she gets hired basically for that reason alone. And then obviously there's going to be things happening with them. So I really enjoyed this series a lot. I read the whole trilogy. And what was really fun about this series, what I will say, is that the Billionaire series, I think it's the Billionaire series, actually then goes into the OB series, and then there's a sports series that also spins off of like the one with that. So her world also all connects, because the third Billionaire, the sports team owner, he's with a single mom, and Dr. Nero, who's the third book in this series, he's the ex-husband of that single mom. So anyway, sorry, but I like when worlds are connected like that. It's fun when you can read through an author's backlist and they all connect. So then the last one I just want to show, because I shamelessly put this book up whenever I can, that's The Takeover by TL Swan. This book has some of the funnest sex scenes I've ever read. And I don't mean because they're doing crazy shit or anything, but because it's just fun. Like, this couple is really into each other, and they have pretty good communication in the bedroom, even if they struggle in a couple other areas. And one thing I love is that this is a second chance at love for the woman in the book, and she hasn't been with anyone since her husband died. And I love the icebreaker of this, because this is an enemies to lovers. They start out as like a one-night stand because their sexual chemistry is crazy. And she's like, you know what? It's time to get back on the horse. And this is a pretty fine horse for me to get back onto. So, but he's like, okay, I know you're a widow. Like, you've had sex since then, right? And she's like, no. And he's like, wow. Way to give me like bad odds here that the last person you were with was the love of your life. And I just love that he just calls that out, because we're all thinking it. And she's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, he's like, no, I just wanted to know what I was up against here. And I just love that. Tristan is so sweet. And also, I'm sure you've heard me say this widow, she has 3 kids, and there is some hilarious scenes. Like, you will snort out of your nose laughing at some of these scenes. They are so funny. It also has some of the most heartbreaking scenes, so that's why I want to say, like, it's not a rom-com the way some of the others are, but you will equally laugh and cry so hard if you give The Takeover a try. So there you go. These are some of my favorite books that made me laugh out loud. Some are romantic comedies, some are not. Let me know some of yours. I love when books unexpectedly catch me off guard, if that makes sense. There's a few that I've read that when they are directly billed as a rom-com, some of it can feel really farce to me. That's why a lot of these you'll see they aren't completely billed as a rom-com to me. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this. If, like I said at the beginning of the video, you're interested in being a part of voting on what videos I make, definitely check out my channel memberships. There's always a link in the description, so you can find out more about them. I have some different tiers that you get to help decide videos and have personal access to me. And early release of a lot of my videos too. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.